Hey everyone, and welcome. Something really strange is happening right now in the world of creative work. It doesn't matter if you're a musician, an artist, or writer, pretty much any kind of creator. We are all living through this massive shift, and honestly, it's both a huge opportunity and a brand new kind of challenge. So let's get into it. Okay, so here's the central puzzle. At the very top of the market, the world of seven-figure deals and super prestige sales, things are actually shrinking. But at the exact same time, down at the entry level, more people are creating and selling their work than at any other point in human history. The top is contracting while the bottom is absolutely exploding. So, what is going on? I mean, how can both of those things be true at once? That's the big question we're going to unpack right here. To figure this out, let's start small. Let's zoom right in and put ourselves in the shoes of an independent musician who's just trying to get their first song out into the world. Their journey tells us pretty much everything we need to know about that booming side of the economy. So, before your track can ever hit Spotify or Apple Music, you have to pick a distributor. And today, that means trying to find your way through this just dizzying, crowded, totally jam-packed marketplace of different services. And just look at the choices here. You've got TuneCore with a pretty straightforward yearly fee. Then there's CD Baby, where you pay per release, which sounds good if you only put out a single a year, but it gets crazy expensive if you're prolific. Landar gives you unlimited uploads for a fee, but then they hold back key features unless you pay more. And then you see these services like Antijoy dangling a free option. For a new artist, this is an absolute minefield of trade-offs. And this quote from a Reddit user just sums up the vibe perfectly. When you're faced with a free service, you're immediately skeptical. It feels like there has to be a catch. This feeling, this confusion and overwhelming choice, it's a direct symptom of that booming, chaotic, entry-level market. Okay, so that's the view from the ground floor. Now let's pull the camera way, way back. We're gonna look at the global contemporary art market, because it turns out this exact same trend is playing out, but on a massive, massive scale. According to a huge 2025 report from Art Price, the art world is going through what they call an adjustment. Now, that's really just a polite way of saying that the super hot post-pandemic boom at the very high end, that's officially over. The total global auction turnover for contemporary art last year was $1.44 billion. And that sounds like a ton of money, right? But here's the thing. It's actually a massive drop. It brings the market back to a level we haven't seen in about a decade. So where did all that money go? Well, it vanished from the very top. The two giants of the high-end art world, the USA and China, saw their revenues just plummet, down 27% and a staggering 44% respectively. The big, multi-million-dollar masterpieces just aren't selling like they used to. But wait, at the exact same time that all that money was falling off a cliff, this happened. A record-breaking 146,000 individual pieces of contemporary art were sold at auction. More art changed hands than ever before. Do you see the paradox here? Less money, but more art. And this chart right here, this basically tells the entire story in one picture. A full 85% of all contemporary art sales last year were for pieces that cost less than $5,000. The market isn't just shrinking at the top, its whole shape is changing. The base of the pyramid is getting wider and wider. So let's start connecting the dots. We've got our musician lost in a sea of cheap or free distributors, and then we have this global art market where affordable pieces are absolutely dominating sales. This is not a coincidence. What we're looking at is something analysts call a multi-speed market. And the key thing to understand is that it's not like the whole creative economy is just slowing down. It's actually two different markets moving in totally opposite directions at different speeds all at the same time. Think about it. That independent musician stressing over which distributor to pick and a brand new collector buying their first $1,000 print online, they are both part of the exact same global phenomenon, this historic widening of the creative world. So, okay, what does this all mean for creators? Well, it's a real mixed bag. First, the good news. There are more ways to get started than ever before. The barriers to entry have crumbled. But the flip side is that the creative middle class, that space where you can make a stable living without being a global superstar, that's getting hollowed out. Success now seems to depend way more on putting out a lot of work and having a really strong digital connection to your audience. It all just means the path to the top looks completely different than it did just a few years ago. So where's this all heading?
Well, this whole trend, this widening base and shrinking top, is already getting a massive shakeup from the next big disruptor.
And of course, that disruptor is artificial intelligence. The Art Price report even concludes by saying that AI is already transforming creative tools, culture, and the art market itself. It's likely going to accelerate this trend even faster by lowering the barrier to entry for millions and millions more people.
And that leaves us with one final, really fascinating question to think about. In a world with more tools and more creators than at any point in history, has it become easier than ever to make art, but harder than ever to build a lasting career from it? That's the challenge for the next generation.